up, keep your head up. You're not alone. Keep your head up, keep your head up. We're halfway home.
It's time for Your Voices of Hope, a video podcast program that offers straight talk on some of the major issues facing us today: addiction, domestic violence, homelessness, human trafficking, and suicide. But more than that, it's our desire to inspire hope. Now, your host, Michelle Byer.
Welcome to Your Voices of Hope. I am your host, Michelle Byer. My guest today is Ashleigh Abrigg. She is a community outreach manager for Brightview Addiction Treatment Center. Hi, Ashleigh.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
We're at home.
We are at home. I'm in my kitchen.
Yeah, this is a little different. You know, I'm used to being in a recording studio, and I'm sure you're used to being out and about as an outreach manager. You know, I only know what outreach means just because of working at ICANN, and our outreach has to go out to the street. But, you know, I don't know much about outreach and things like that. But tell me a little bit about what you do and who you are prior to Brightview. Who's Ashleigh?
Well, I am like a book of knowledge. No, I'm just kidding. I always say I'm a wealth of useless knowledge. But who I am before, I have 3 kids, and I decided after a change of life situation when I was 30, I went through a divorce, and I went to college, and I got 2 degrees in human and social service and sociology. And I think what really got me was being in the community. I love people, and I love Canton, where we live, and I think that we provide a lot of sense of community and foundation, and that really got me going. So I started as a case manager at the county, and I got into that. And then my girlfriend said, hey, I have a job in medical. I think you'd be great in navigation work for us, for our patients. I started there, and it sort of snowballed, and I ended up at Brightview.
Well, I'm glad you ended up at Brightview.
Me too.
So now I want everyone else to know why I'm happy about you ending up at Brightview and why I absolutely love Brightview. So tell us, what is Brightview? Just start out with, what is Brightview? Give us this Brightview.
What is
By the way, I'm extremely corny. Just,
listen,
you know.
It makes it easier for a little bit of a going back and forth and like, let me think, ma'am. What can I answer? No, I like it. I want a conversation like I'm sitting across from you. So Brightview. Brightview started about 4 years ago down in Cincinnati, and Dr. Ryan, who's our chief medical officer and the CEO, he was an ER doc, and he basically had seen such, a rise in the opioid epidemic that he decided, let's just change it. So Brightview is an outpatient drug addiction treatment center. We also obviously manage other substance abuses as well, but we provide medication assisted treatment. And that way people can afford to have, and when I say afford, I don't even mean financially. They're offered an opportunity to still keep their job and not have to go to inpatient and still be able to feel like they have a little bit of control, because I'm sure you're aware when you're in addiction, control is a big deal. And a lot of times when someone goes in, and that's fine, some people need inpatient, sometimes they need it. But if you have a really great support system and you're meeting your counseling appointments, and you are at a point in your life where you're ready, you can come in, you obviously drop your clean urines, you see your individual counselor, you do your group counseling, you get your medication, and you abide by the rules. It's amazing. So Dr. Ryan just said, when you provide those things to people and they have the ability to see that they can control the positive part of their life and get the good things out of their soul, that it just works. It just works.
Yeah, I met him.
I love it.
He was
he's a great guy.
He's cute too. He was he was at the grand opening of the Perry location, which you guys call Canton location?
So funny story. This is what I was laughing about. So when I did the interview, they're like, oh, it's for the Maslin location. I'm from here my whole life. I grew up on the southwest end of Canton. It's located in Perry Township. That is not Maslin to me.
Right, it's not.
Maslin is anywhere west of like Kmart, where Kmart used to be, right? So Jackson
right.
Avenue. So fun. So when I try to explain to the people down in Cincinnati, I understand that it has a Maslin mailing address. I said, but you are unaware that there is a huge difference and barrier between Canton people and Maslin people. So if I try to market to Canton people, I say I'm in Perry. If I try to market to Maslin people, I say I'm in Perry. I never say we're a Canton office, we're not a Maslin office. But for the surrounding area, I tell people we're in Perry Township because it literally is 2 buildings west of Genoa Road. So we're right. I mean, in Perry Township.
Right.
But yeah, he actually comes to every opening of every place, which I think is amazing.
You know, that opening was a phenomenal opening. And Mayor Kathy Catazero from Maslin was there. And that's, her and I were talking, and you know, and that's where the Maslin, the Canton, and the Perry thing came up, because she's Maslin.
Oh yeah, she's Maslin.
Oh, I love her. Oh gosh.
Yeah, I do too. And you know what's so funny is that she and I were talking just a couple weeks ago, and she said, do you have any like trainings or, and I said, not right now. You know, we're so green in the area, just really trying to get our name out there, and not just to get people in the doors, but we want people to be armed with the knowledge of what we're about. We want people to know that we're not just the shiny new nickel in the area, that we're here to stay. Like, we're here to stay. This is permanent. It is a little different. It is a little rogue. It makes people a little leery when you tell them it's outpatient. And that's what I was telling her. But I'm hoping in time that we can grow and that we'll have those opportunities to maybe offer some training to family members. But, you know, we are a resource of knowledge. I can, you know, refer people out if they need support groups, you know, grief counseling, Al-Anon, AA, you know, things that parents and people may need, not just outpatient drug addiction treatment, because I don't want to be housed just in that little circle and that's all we do. Because, you know, this is funny. I'll tell you this real quick. When I was walking in, I had gotten an idea from another person that is in Toledo who does my same job. And I walked in and I noticed that it was a happy environment. It was clean. They have coffee, they have water. But I noticed they're sitting there waiting. And I'm like, this is boring. Like, so I looked at a guy and I said, hey, would you like a library? He goes, well, yeah, just because I am addicted to drugs doesn't mean I'm illiterate. And I said, all right. So the next day I put it out on Facebook. I got 1 million people sending me books, and now look, is it a library? No. I mean, are the books old, tattered? Maybe. But guess what? When I went in there, I saw 3/4 of the people thumbing through magazines, looking at books, and you know, they can take it. They don't have to just put it back. What if they're there for an all-day induction?
Right.
You know, they're really into a book and they're like chapter 10 and they're leaving for the day and they're like, oh, I got to put it back. So take it, leave one, take one, bring one, whatever.
Wow. Now see, that shows your passion.
Well, I just want people to be happy and I want them to be safe and healthy. And if this is number 1 or number 5, I mean, maybe on the 5th time it works. Who knows?
And do you have, I know that when I started doing this, my background is I'm 10 years sober. I got into all this addiction, working in this field. Gosh, I don't even know how long ago anymore. I did a lot of research when I was doing the radio show, and I found out way back then, I don't know, 6-7 years ago, that about 65% of people were affected by the addiction, family members. I can't imagine it's only 65 now. It's gotta be up in the 90s. So with you doing this job, is there anywhere in your background that makes you more passionate about this job?
I have
people in your background?
Yeah, so I grew up in a really great household. I really can't complain. However, my dad was an alcoholic, and he was a functional alcoholic. I had a lovely childhood. I was not abused. I was given everything in the world, love, hugs. But I will tell you, as I got older and started to get into this whole landscape of addiction and alcohol and substance abuse, I noticed my memories of my dad, although they're wonderful, was a newspaper under one arm and a 12-pack in the other. And maybe, you know, back in the day, I don't really think there was really a precedence about
That was normal.
that was normal, right? So I grew up thinking, oh, I had a great life. My dad drank beer. Life was great. And then I realized there wasn't a day that I barely remember that he didn't drink beer. And then little spectacles of my life started to pop in, like my prom. He was completely intoxicated on my prom. And I remember thinking, gosh, this is so embarrassing. But now I'm looking back thinking, I was mortified. Like, I was humiliated that, and I look at the pictures and I see that he's drinking. And then my ex-husband is recovering. He's in recovery 3 years and from some pretty heavy duty substances. So, you know, I do this for my kids to keep them clean. I mean, I only have so much control over them. So
Right.
I want to at least be a reflection of what it's like to stay clean or sober and continue to stay sober. And
What do you tell your kids?
Um,
Do they know what you do? And do you tell them stay away from it? You know, or what do you tell your children?
Well, you know, I would be a liar to say I wouldn't want my kids not to do drugs. I don't want them to do drugs just because it's not even, I'm afraid. I think I'm more afraid of what could happen. You know, I experimented when I was in high school with marijuana, and I'm sure that they're going to do the same thing. But, you know, 2020 is a lot different than 1993, 94, you know, and things have changed. So I tell them, this is our rule in our house. And I think we talked about this before. Number one, if you're going to try it, be honest with me. Don't lie. I mean, I'm not open to giving it to you, but if you've
Right.
tried it, be honest so I know. I want to know. I want to be equipped with the right knowledge. If you're at a party, don't ever get into a car drunk. Don't ever drive a car drunk, and never ever be the drunkest person there, because bad things can happen. And I don't want them to drink. I'm just the typical mom.
Right.
I want them to walk around on a cloud for the rest of their life and nothing ever happened, but that's not going to happen.
Right.
So I tell them the reason why I do this job is because I was really affected by their dad. And I don't want to see someone who had the potential that he had, 2 college degrees, almost into veterinarian school, to give that down the pipeline to go work at a job that he can never have a job that he went to school for. So he's just working, and not that a factory job is bad. Some people like that.
Right.
And if that is what, you know, I tell my kids all the time, you want to work at Taco Bell, you better be the best burrito maker out there. I don't care. If my kids came to me tomorrow and said, Mom, I don't want to go to college, I'd be like, what do you want to do? I want to be a trash man. But then you better be that best damn trash man out there, picking up every piece of trash is out there. I want my kids to do whatever they want to do, but I want them to be equipped with the knowledge going forward. But I tell them I do this job because it means a lot to me. And a drug addict doesn't mean they're a bad person. It just means they've made bad choices.
How old are they?
So I have 3 biological kids. They are 23, 19, and 16. And I have 2 bonus boys. Those are what I call my stepkids, but bonus boys. They're 23 and 14. And they all know.
And do
They
they?
know I'm funny about, I'm pretty strict, but I'm not unrealistic.
And do they say, you know, yeah, whatever. Okay, yeah, and yes you to death, and go out and do what they want? Or are they pretty?
I think I've raised my kids with enough respect that I think sometimes they have a little bit of a self-conscience. Like they say, you know, I don't think my mom wants me to do this. And, you know, like my daughter will make reference, well, he smokes. And I'll go, smokes cigarettes? And she'll go, no, Mom, pot. And I'm like, oh my God. So to them now, that shows you 2020, they consider smoking just pot. Like that's not a big deal. I don't know. I just want them to be safe. And, you know, as a mother, you just want your kids to be safe. And
I agree. And it's really hard these days. So I have a client that I'm going to take to Brightview. Tell me, how would I go about, what would be my first step in taking that client to Brightview?
So we have two ways. We do have an online scheduling tool, and it's a link. If you go to our Brightview page, that's www.brightviewhealth.com. I think it is. I think that's what it is. If you go to our page, you can click
you're
on
gonna
that.
get in trouble for that.
I know. Hold on. Let me make sure, but I'm pretty confident. I always get, yeah, I was right. www.brightviewhealth.com.
I'm a troublemaker.
I would have been like a walking billboard with like a complete X in front of my face. And then there's an online scheduling tool that you can schedule online, or you can call us at 1-833-510-HELP, and that'll get you on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You'll get a live person. So if you have someone at 2 a.m. and they're on a bender and they think today's the day and it's 2 a.m., unless, they're going to call and we're going to talk to them and get them in at 8 a.m. that very next day. But if it's that bad, we're going to refer them to the hospital to at least get them treated right now in case they're in danger. They will ask some fact-finding questions once they're on the phone with the person to ensure that they're not in harm's way. We also take walk-ins Monday through Friday from 8 to 3. They can come in. They can see a physician that day. The induction process is 8 hours the first day. It's a pretty long, arduous day. However, you have to have your physical assessment. You have to see a physician, a nurse, the counselor. Then you come back for the second day for induction, not quite as long, and then you go from there. It's so easy. We take all insurances in regards to like Medicare, Medicaid, TRICARE, almost all commercial insurances. There are just a few little ones. We never turn anyone away. Never.
And I love that, because so many places nowadays, they're so full. You can't get anybody in anywhere. And when someone's ready to be sober, they're ready to be sober right then and there. You can't say, oh, sorry, we can't get you in anywhere, because you got to wait till tomorrow. That's not going to work.
We talk about that in our meetings. If it's Thursday at 1:00 and Joe Smith is ready to get clean, he may change his mind Thursday at 3 p.m. So you have 2 hours to get him in there.
He might change his mind in 10 minutes.
Right. And so what we've decided is, as Brightview, what they do is if someone walks through the door at 3:05 and they're ready to get clean, there's no way they're going to shove them out the door and say, you're going to have to come back tomorrow. They're going to assess them. They're going to make sure they're not currently in withdrawal. They're going to make sure, medically, doing a medical assessment and make sure they're not in danger. And, if they're able, and once they see and we're confident they don't need to go to the hospital or something, they can come back tomorrow, but we will never let someone go unseen and send them right back out the door. It will never happen.
So I take my client in. My client has an assessment.
Yep.
My client will have a nurse.
So he or she will see a medical provider. So Dr. Johnson is our medical provider in our office. And then we have an RN. We have 2 nurse practitioners. We have we have a couple LPNs. And then we have medical assistants, and they go through the whole gig. Then we have counselors, and then we have peer support specialists. So yeah.
I love peer support specialists. Those are the bomb.
Social worker, a case manager that can help them get housing. And if they don't have Medicaid, they can help them apply for it to get on pending Medicaid. So
nice.
We are a wealth of knowledge, and it's almost like a one-stop shop. It's almost
I like that.
Yeah, like, hey, listen, you're going to come in, and we have a pharmacy. So look, do you know the importance of a pharmacy? The consistency of the medication and the dependency of the medication, of that person knowing when I go to see my doctor and I drop my urine and I see my counselor and I do what I'm supposed to do, my medicine is right there. I can pick it up.
So can they get their mental health medication there as well?
No, they can't. We are not duly certified. However, we will work cohesively with a behavioral health doctor, counseling. So somebody can go get their behavioral health medication there, and we'll do the clinical side in regards to the MAT. But
okay.
So like we can see people in a nursing home. If someone's in a nursing home, the nursing home will handle all of the counseling in regards to the behavioral health and the clinical side, and then we can do the MAT side.
So how are you handling things right now with group settings? Obviously, we can't go to a group. I mean, that's the problem that a lot of people are having with AA meetings.
I know, we just had that conversation today.
I have a client, a few of them that can't go to an AA meeting, but they can't go online because they don't have Wi-Fi. And so there's no radio really. I mean, there are a couple from what I'm hearing, but so what are you guys doing? How do you combat that?
Well, right now, obviously, obviously right now, if someone cannot get online at all, we will offer a phone counseling session over the phone if they have a telephone. If they don't, they will still see the patient inside the building, inside the center. Everyone is going through the checkpoint. They have to have their temperature screening. If they don't have a temperature, they're able to go in and they continue on with their appointment, obviously. But we do have virtual group counseling and individual counseling, phone counseling, and then also, like I said, if worse comes to worse and that's what they need, they can come in, we can set it up. We will use the guidelines that we need for COVID-19 to make sure that everyone is safe. We provide masks if that need be, so that person can see their counselor and still remain on their treatment plan for their MAT progress.
That's amazing.
I went in there today. Yeah, and I had to get a mask because I'm out and about. It's starting Monday, and it was full. Like, it's crazy to me. Like, but people were outside. They were sitting in their cars. They were waiting. They were sitting on the bench. They get them in and out. It's quick now because you want to get in and you want to get out and treat them as best as we can and as safely as we can. But we want to make sure that they're not lost.
What if I can't get there? I don't have a car. I don't have a way of taking the bus because first of all, my anxiety wouldn't allow me to take a bus. Yeah. So how would I get there?
So, we have options that we can provide transportation. First and foremost, that appointment has to be made. We cannot offer any transportation, obviously, as you know, because we don't want to get in trouble saying, oh, come here, we'll provide transportation. But once that person provides an appointment date, then if they are struggling with transportation, we can assist them with either providing them with a bus pass or some type of paid transportation initially coming in. And if it's easier for them to be on the bus route, we might be able to provide them with a bus pass until we can get them approved for any type of Medicaid or insurance that can then continue the transportation. Because here's the deal. How sad would that be if Joe Smith down the road just wants rehab, just wants to get clean, and he can't get there? How sad is that? And if that is the only barrier that's holding us up, we have to change that. We have to change that.
So I agree. But here's something I want to know. When's Brightview going to open inpatient?
Oh, you know how many times people have asked us that? We asked that question.
I want the answer to this question.
I want the answer to this question because I would tell you, I wish I could say tomorrow because, girl, I would be out on that street selling Brightview all day long. I do it now.
I'd be filling it.
Yes, I know you would. I don't know. And I really think that's down the pipeline. I don't know if it's today, tomorrow, next year. I don't know. But I know right now when I started in December, so I've only been there 5 months, but I love it. I love it to my core. But this is what I will tell you. There was 13 open sites. 13. We have 18 now. 5 in 5 months. Through COVID, we're opening up. So now we have Ashtabula, Youngstown, Warren, Canton, Akron. Like, that's nuts. And then there's so many in Southern Ohio. It's just crazy. It's just mind-boggling. So when people say you're the shiny new nickel, I don't know. We're not new. And we're growing.
And you're worth more than a nickel.
That's right. And you know what? It is something to be said when, I never knew what this whole recovery thing was like. I saw it personally, and I saw the personal struggles. But to see someone walk in on death's door looking like this is it, they're lost. And from the time I started in December to now, and you're seeing them come in, and I happen just to see them in the waiting room and be like, is that person? Wow. got, getting jobs. Like a guy pulled out his little calendar, and in every other Friday was his payday. And then in blue on this little calendar was like, these are my days that are off, that I'm off from work. I can only come these days. I have to keep my job. And it is like just empowering to them to be able to say, I have a job and I need to keep my job. And these are the days I can come to counseling, and we work with them because we don't want them to lose their job. Right. So it's just, you have to fix this.
And that's true. And that is really true. And, a lot of people think, well, that place doesn't work for me. It's not the place, it's the person. And,
right.
And that's what I've got to, I tell now it always helps when you have all the great services to help aid you in it. But so if you could leave us with something to last in our memories about Brightview, what would that be?
I would say that I believe that Brightview is the place to go if you want to feel vindicated, you want to own your recovery and be part of your recovery with as much support. I get tearful talking about it. It's a great place. So
Aww,
it is.
You're tearing up.
I know. It's a great place to be part of. I know, I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. How many people talk about their jobs and tear up? I mean, in a positive way anyway. People can tear up in a negative.
You see the success. And when you have a CEO that's invested, he still sees our patients every Wednesday. And he's actively involved in the trenches with us, and it makes you work because he's working with you. You can have a million bosses that'll tell you, go do this job, but they don't do it. He's down in the trenches with us. So I would say come to Brightview because we love it and we love you. So
right. And
I'm sorry I got so emotional.
Don't be sorry. I have a boss the same way. I get to interview her next week. I'm like, it's wonderful, to have a boss that way. It really helps you love your job,
It makes it easy to come to work, even if it's in your kitchen.
Right? We have jobs,
you know what?
So
it's a difference between a job and a career.
Yeah, I have a career,
Yeah, me too. I feel like I'm not going anywhere.
Mine's a passion, and mine's my life. Yeah,
well, I know it. Ever since I met you, I get it.
I love what I do. So, and you know what, Ashleigh? It shows that you love what you do.
I do.
I'm so glad that I met you.
Oh, me too.
When I first heard from Aaron in my office that I have to meet the new person at Brightview, I'm like, well, I wasn't there for whatever the reason.
I know, I was sad, yeah.
I usually am not in the office because I'm out and about. And then I was like, well, great. Thanks for telling me,
Yeah.
And then I met you at Judge Forshoni's symposium that I was speaking at.
Which was amazing.
Oh, yeah, he does a great job. He really, really does. And so I'm so happy that I met you.
Me too.
And I'm looking forward to a very long relationship with you. And
yes, ma'am. I'm not going anywhere.
Very long relationship with Brightview.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to see the continued growth with Brightview. I send my clients there. I bring them there. I've had several.
We appreciate that.
I have one there right now, as a matter of fact.
I'll take it.
So, Ashleigh, I want to thank you again.
Thank you
for coming on my show today. And I want to thank all of you for listening to another edition. I'm tongue-tied, and that's because I'm home. I've got to get used to being back here, back on air. So thank you all for listening to another edition of Your Voices of Hope. And please join me again next week when my guest will be Julie Sparks from ICANN Housing. And if you'd like to be a guest on my show, please go to my Facebook page, Your Voices of Hope, or my website, which is also Your Voices of Hope. Please send me your email address and I will send you a link and we'll set the time up. So thanks again, Ashleigh, and have a great day.
You've been listening to Your Voices of Hope with your host, Michelle Beyer. This podcast and earlier programs are available for viewing on our Facebook page, Your Voices of Hope, or our website, yourvoicesofhope.com. A new podcast is uploaded and ready to view every Wednesday at 7 o'clock p.m.
Keep your head up, keep your head up. You're not alone.